my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving, as love shows us how. Wake now, my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe truth is larger than any one book or way. Religion and science, they go hand in hand. Integrity requires freedom of conscience. Diversity is something to celebrate. In the struggle for justice, we come alive. Our highest aspiration and calling is love. Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now, my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here. Please be seated. Every Sunday we light this chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith tradition. We light it with gratitude and joy and deepened commitment. And a little bit of magic, right? Once again, welcome everyone to this space. My name is Reverend Anthony Makar, Senior Minister of this community. Welcome to folks joining us virtually from home. It's wonderful. Thank you for showing up for your own healing and well-being. And I want to say that each of you is showing up for everyone else in this space. And so I thank you for that gift of generosity. We are all in this thing together. We are in it together. We have so much good that is going on in our community. Please check out the West Shore Weekly insert in your order of service about events coming up and how you can get involved. And after the service, when you go out into the sanctuary, Go into the rotunda area. You're going to see a lot of tables there, folks happy to sign you up for particular events. So be sure to check that out as well. Let's now greet each other with warmth. While we're doing this, children and youth are dismissed to their classes. And if you have not seen someone that you have met before, say hello. Say hello and maybe offer a wave to the folks at home. Let's greet each other now. Come to this good morning, remembering the journey of freedom. The land we are on was once another's. We mourn the legacies of oppression. Healing is our way forward. Joy is the birthright of all. The devastating earthquakes that hit Turkey and Syria early Monday are affecting some of the most vulnerable people in our world. More than 4 million Syrians who rely on immediate humanitarian aid live in the region, according to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. The first earthquake, which was magnitude 7.8, is one of the strongest to hit this region in the last century, affecting an area already confronting a cholera outbreak and harsh winter weather. With more than 21 deaths already recorded, it is the deadliest earthquake in more than a decade. As a people of faith, we want to find a way to help. And one thing we can do is provide financial support for relief efforts. Today, we are calling on all folks who can give to give a financial gift to UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. The UN Refugee Agency is currently in Turkey and Syria providing high thermal blankets, mattresses, kitchen sets, plastic sheeting, jerry cans, sleeping mats, winter clothing kits, and winter jackets. Practical things that will save lives. You can help. Today's collection will go towards this. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Today's reading is from Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Anishinaabe elder Basil Johnston tells of the time our teacher Nanabozho was fishing in the lake for supper, as he often did, with hook and line. Heron came striding along through the reeds on his long, bent legs, his beak like a spear. Heron is a good fisherman and a sharing friend. So he told Nanabozho about a new way to fish that would make his life much easier. Heron cautioned him to be careful, not to take too many fish. But Nanabozho was already thinking of a feast. He went out early the next day and soon had a whole basket full of fish, so heavy he could barely carry it, and far more than he could eat. So he cleaned all those fish and set them out to dry on the racks outside his lodge. The next day, with his belly still full, he went back to the lake and again did what Heron had showed him. Ah, he thought as he carried home the fish, I will have plenty to eat this winter. Day after day, he stuffed himself, and as the lake grew empty, his drying racks grew full, sending out a delicious smell into the forest where Fox was licking his lips. Again, Nanabozho went to the lake so proud of himself. But that day, his nets came up empty, and Heron looked down on him as he flew over the lake with a critical eye. When Nanabozho got home to his lodge, he learned a key rule: never take more than you need. The racks of fish were toppled in the dirt, and every bite was gone.
Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. When sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination is near. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. So brothers, take my hand, and sisters, sing my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on. All are now invited to share from the heart. We each come to this place. So many joys, so many sorrows. These are the ones that are written down. I hold all of us in my prayers throughout the week, and I'll take these into my meditations for all that is our life. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? In her amazing book, Braiding Sweetgrass, Robin Wall Kimmerer wants to propose an answer which is not in sync with the big voice of dominant American culture. Her answer comes from the little voices of her ancestors, the Potawatomi First Nations people. The answer is Nanabozho. We come from this mythical first person. We are like this mythical first person, and we are following in the footsteps of this mythical first person. Nanabozho is his name, and he is a trickster figure, an embodiment of aliveness, a shapeshifter as well. So he does not always or even often take the form of a human. Often, the form he takes is that of a big rabbit. Think Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny and Nanabozho, they're not exactly the same, but there's enough of a resonance there. I want you to think sense of humor. I want you to think craftiness, right? To make this worthy of mentioning. I want you to look at that petroglyph. Do you see the big bunny ears? You see them? Interestingly, throughout the world, in many ancient cultures, the rabbit is revered as one of the main forms that the trickster takes. And I'm just all of a sudden realizing we could talk about Easter right now, but let's not do that. That's a different sermon. Nanabozho is actually known by over 36 different names because of all the tribal people speaking the Anishinaabe language, of which the Potawatomi tribe is only one. They all know about this great rabbit, and they all celebrate him as the first person who was created by the great spirit Gitche Manitou. Gitche Manitou created Nanabozho from the four world elements, earth, air, fire, water, and he is born part human and part divine. He is put on Turtle Island, which is our world, and Nanabozho, he sees that it is already populated thoroughly by plants and animals. He learns that he is the younger brother of creation, having the least experience of how to live, and thus having the most to learn. Gitche Manitou then gives him a purpose. The Great Spirit says to him, not be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over every living thing that moves on the earth. Not that. The Great Spirit instead says, learn how to walk through the world in such a way that each step is a greeting to Mother Earth. These are the original instructions. Do this. Learn how. But you know, Nanabozho has a problem. He's got a problem. He has a voracious appetite. He has got an unbridled sexuality. He has got an inexhaustible curiosity. And he also has a habit of disrupting settled structures and patterns. So as he begins to walk through the world, Turtle Island, his way of walking very often looks like selfish buffoonery. Selfish buffoonery. He comes to learn the hard way. What happens when he just lets it all hang out? He comes to learn the hard way, as we saw in that story that Judy shared just a moment ago, where the bird heron teaches Nanabozho a new way to fish. And the new way is super effective. It allows Nanabozho to satisfy his total greed. He fishes in the lake until there's no more fish to get. And meanwhile, at home, all the fish are drying on a rack. Fox comes, eats them all up. Nanabozho returns home only to realize that his greed has just hurt him. All the fish are gone. There's no more to be had. And he learns the key rule, as Judy said, never take more than you need. You know, Nanabozho is viewed with great respect and affection by all Anishinaabe speakers. Though he can be a selfish buffoon, he learns from his antics. He is never intentionally cruel or foul. And his stories, which are a scream, they teach humans how to deal with their own voracious appetites, their own unbridled sexuality, their own insatiable curiosity, their own rootlessness. Just like humans, Nanabozho lives within a dilemma. He wants immediate gratification for all of his desires, but he also wants safety and a well-ordered society, and you cannot have both. So, how do you find the right balance? Here's another story that shows Nanabozho dealing with his insatiable desires. One day, Nanabozho was wandering through the woods when he came to the shore of a small lake. Suddenly he heard a great commotion overhead. He looked up and he saw a flock of geese, and the geese were weary of their journey from the north where they had spent the summer, and they were preparing to land on the lake. Nanabozho saw the birds come to rest on the water with a great flurry and a folding of wings, and his stomach grumbled, and his mouth started salivating. Is that what salivation sounds like for you? I really hope not. Well, all he knew is that he needed to eat every one of those geese up. He just had to do that, every one ASAP. But first, he had to come up with a scheme. Bugs Bunny, right? He had to come up with a scheme. If he just jumped on them, well, he'd only catch one or two. Quickly but quietly, he went back into the woods and he peeled off strips of cedar bark and he made a long rope, and then he returned to the lake, slipped into the water, being careful not to disturb the weary birds. He swam under them and he tied their legs together with that cedar rope. And at the same time, he tied each goose to the next one so that he could pull them all up on the shore together. And at first, all went well. Nanabozho was so cunning and swift that the geese did not notice him. They did not notice what was happening. But his greed finally got him into trouble. Instead of being happy with just a few geese, he went on to tie up the whole flock. And just as he was finishing, he had to come up for air. He made such a loud whoosh, whoosh that he frightened the geese. The first goose to fly up was in the middle of the rope, and all the other geese followed. And as they rose from the lake, they formed a V because they were tied together. And Nanabozho, he dangled at one end. He shouted to the birds, "Stop, birds, stop!" But the geese only beat the air more desperately with their strong gray wings. And just then, the birds, they flew over a stretch of soft and swampy ground, and Nanabozho let go of that rope with a shout and landed in a bed of oozing mud. And as for the geese, they continued on their way, still flying in a V formation because of the rope that joined them together. And wild geese have been flying that way ever since. If you just look up in the autumn sky and see them go as they go calling past. And some folks think that when you see those geese flying in that V formation and they're calling, some folks, they think they can hear their laughter in their cries. They're laughing at Nanabozho for failing in his trick to get them. That's the story. But for it, and for all of these stories, it's really important for us to grasp this thing. It is really important for us to grasp that the time context, it's not meant to be linear. Time that flies like an arrow, only in one direction. Well, that is from big voice, dominant American culture. But Nanabozho time, it is circular time. Robin Wall Kimmerer clarifies this by saying, in the way of linear time, you might hear Nanabozho's stories as mythic lore of history, a recounting of long ago done things, a long ago past, and how things came to be. But in circular time, these stories are both history and prophecy. Stories for a time yet to come. If time is a turning circle, there is a place where history and prophecy converge. The footprints of the first man, she says, the footprints of the first man lie on the path behind us and on the path ahead. The fact is, folks, we humans are still trying to learn how to deal with our voracious appetites and greed. We humans are still trying to find the right balance in life. We humans are still trying to learn how to walk through the world in such a way that each footstep is a greeting to Mother Earth. Says scholar Paul Radin in his book entitled The Trickster, a study in American Indian mythology. He says, Nanabozho's task is to grow up and to see that human beings grow up with him. Can we grow up with him? Can we follow in Nanabozho's footsteps?
He is the way, the truth, and the life.
Sir, please leave this sanctuary.
2 Timothy 4:3.
Would someone please help this gentleman?
Bless you guys. He is the way, the truth, and the life.
Some of us agree,
He is the truth.
but we don't all have
He
to.
is the truth.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Are we okay? Okay. Robin Wall Kimmerer says, after all these generations since Columbus, some of the wisest native elders since, they still puzzle over the people who came to our shores. They look at the toll that the land has suffered, and they say, these elders, they say, the problem with these new people is they don't have both feet on the shore. One is still on the boat. They don't seem to know whether they are staying or going. Kimmerer continues. The same observation is heard from some contemporary scholars who see in the social pathologies and relentlessly materialist culture the fruit of homelessness, a rootless past. America has been called the home of second chances for the sake of the peoples and of the land. The urgent work of the second man may be to set aside the ways of the colonist and become indigenous to place. And that is what she says. I say amen to that. I love Jesus, but Robin Wall Kimmerer is our prophet for today. Can I hear an amen? And let me just say as a side note, I do love Jesus, but I do not believe one way, one truth, one light, right? I am a God believer, but I believe that God's generosity is vast and there is truth to be found everywhere. That this is what our chancel proclaims. So whatever our theologies here are, Jesus is welcome, but Robin Wall Kimmerer is our prophet for today. You know, if time is indeed a turning circle and it is not a straight line sort of thing, then in our going as colonists, right, we can follow in Nanabozho's footsteps. His way of growing up, his way of finding the right balance between his voracious appetites and the needs of culture, becoming indigenous to place, well, that can become our way as well. So, it is said, when the creator god Gitchimanatu set Nanabozho upon Turtle Island, and he gave him the purpose of walking through the world in such a way that each step is a greeting to Mother Earth, the first place he went was towards the rising sun, where the day begins. He went east, which reminds people that every day is a chance to learn, a chance to begin again. East is the direction of knowledge, and there Nanabozho learned that Mother Earth is the wisest teacher, and that he could make a unique contribution to wisdom by closely observing all of the plants and the animals, by speaking with them, by coming to know them intimately, and in this way, discerning their true names. He was the name giver, Nanabozho. Such was the mythic past, and so may be our future. What is true now is well said by Kimmerer. She says, most people don't know the names of these plants and animals, these relatives. In fact, they hardly even see them. Names are the way we build relationship, not only with each other, but with the living world. And then Kimmerer wonders, she says, I am trying to imagine what it would be like going through the world not knowing the names of the plants and the animals around you. And she suggests what this, in fact, might feel like. She gives it a name, She calls it species loneliness, which is a deep, unnamed sadness stemming from estrangement with the rest of creation. Can you relate to that? To that state of being, this species loneliness? Do you know the names of the plants and animals around you? Well, I know I don't. Maybe some or even many of us don't know. So there is this deep sadness, which probably is misnamed or unnamed, explained away as a symptom of something else. Yet should we follow in the footsteps of Nanabozho and journey to the east and take upon ourselves the task of learning the names of the plants and the animals and coming to know them, well, this becomes a way of healing. So one thing I suggest is for you to get a plant and animal identification app for your phone. There's a lot of good ones out there. And just start making that a habit. What are the names? Rachel, I need to know the name of the tree that's right outside our bedroom window, for God's sake. Yeah, right? And this can become a powerful way of healing that estrangement, just knowing the names of plants and animals. Nanabozho went east, and so can we. And the journey runs ever on. And it came to pass that Nanabozho traveled to the land of birth and growth, the source of the world's warm winds and the green of spring. The south is this land. Nanabozho traveled south. And here, the task he took up was learning by watching and mimicking his elder siblings, the plants and the animals. Says Robin Wall Kimmerer, when he needed food, he noticed what the animals were eating and copied them. Heron taught him to gather wild rice. One night by the creek, he saw a little ring-tailed animal carefully washing its food with its delicate hands, and Nanabozho thought, I am supposed to put only clean food in my body. Kimmerer goes on to say that this is also how Nanabozho learned to make things. Beaver showed him how to make an axe. Whale gave him the shape for his canoe. In his mind, grandmother spider's web became a fish net. He followed the winter lessons of squirrels to create maple sugar. The lessons Nanabozho learned, Kimmerer continues, are the mythic roots of native science, medicine, architecture, agriculture, and ecological knowledge. Such was the mythical past. And so may be our future. Kimmerer thus speaks of the Nanabozho Way, which we can take today, which essentially is the way of biomimicry or biomimesis. Okay, it's looking to nature for models of design, from science to engineering to environmental literacy to climate change. Biomimicry can serve as a framework for discovering innovative solutions. Examples of biomimicry are just so fascinating. Leonardo da Vinci's drawings. How many of you remember Leonardo da Vinci's drawings of flying machines? Well, they're based on birds. He's looking at bats, maybe. How about Velcro? Y'all know the story of Velcro? Velcro came from George de Mestral's observation of burrs and how they stuck to his dog's hair. Okay? He studied those burrs under a microscope. He noticed the simple design of tiny hooks at the end of the burr's spines. These were able to catch anything with a loop, such as fur and fabric, and he went on to replicate this synthetically. And of course, the result is right. Should humanity double down on biomimicry? The result very well could be an increase in the number of earth-friendly policies, products, services, meaning that as we walked upon the land, each step would indeed be more of a greeting to Mother Earth. Nanabozho went south, and so can we. And the journey runs ever on. And it came to pass that Nanabozho traveled to the land of the medicine healers. The north is this land. In the north, the medicine teachers gave him sweetgrass to teach him the ways of compassion, kindness, and healing, even for those who have made really bad mistakes. For who has not? A path scented with sweetgrass, says Robin Wall Kimmerer, leads to a landscape of forgiveness and healing for all who need it. She doesn't give her gift only to some. That man gets that gift too. Understood? As in all things, Nanabozho learns the hard way. In one story, he went into the woods and encountered a great many men, all of whom were holding clubs. He asked what they were doing, and they replied, "We are going to get that boy that your people wagered in the game." I don't know what the game is, but they wagered this boy in the game. And they said to Nanabozho, "You better join us or we will kill you." And Nanabozho decided to join with them in order to save the honor of his people. And he got so caught up with their purpose that when this group of men with clubs, when they arrived at his village, Nanabozho went right to his own lodge, and he began to kill his family. He killed the old people and the two boys, and he was about to kill the baby girl when somebody stopped him. And then it was like somebody waking from a dream. And he felt so very sorry for what he had done. Such is the mythic past, and so may be our future. The story puts its finger on any time we get caught up in some collective movement and we lose track of ourselves, we lose track of our values, we lose track of our humanity. Before we know it, we find ourselves channeling the oppressor. We find ourselves channeling the big voice of dominance. It can happen to everyone. Thank Gitche Manitou for sweetgrass. Gitche Manitou makes sweetgrass available to all because all of us need it. Nanabozho went north, and so can we. And the journey runs ever on. And finally, it came to pass that Nanabozho traveled to a place that was completely like the other three. It was frightening. It was full of earthquakes. It was full of wildfires. The west is this land. Nanabozho went west, and there he came to learn about power and its different sides. The firekeeper himself, says Kimmerer, came to Nanabozho here, and the firekeeper said to him, "All power has two sides, the power to create and the power to destroy." As in fire, the power to create, warmth, power to destroy, burning down. The firekeeper says we must recognize both of these sides, but invest our gifts on the side of creation. And here is how Nanabozho learned the great lesson of balance, the need to find the right balance in all things. And as in all things, Nanabozho learns the hard way. But the reason why he is so beloved by all the many tribes speaking the Anishinaabe language is that he learns from his mistakes. He does grow up. And he seeks to help the humans to grow up with him. Just like him, people can take too much They can exceed the capacity of plants and animals to keep on sharing of themselves. People can fall into patterns of greed and abuse, and the results are terrible for everyone, including human well-being. And so, the story goes, when Nanabozho walked through Turtle Island, he took note of who was flourishing and who was not, of who was mindful of the original instructions and who was not. He was dismayed when he came upon villages where the gardens were not being tended, where the fish nets were not repaired, and the children were not being taught how to live. Instead of seeing piles of firewood and caches of corn, he found people lying beneath maple trees with their mouths wide open, catching the thick, sweet, syrupy stuff flowing from the generous trees. They had become lazy, and they took for granted the gifts of the Creator. They did not do their ceremonies. They did not care for one another. He knew his responsibility, Nanabozho. So he went to the river, and he dipped up many buckets of water. He poured the water straight into the maple trees to dilute the syrup. Today, maple sap flows like a stream of water, and only a trace of sweetness to remind the people both of possibility and of responsibility. And so it is that it takes 40 gallons of sap to make a gallon of syrup. Such is the mythic past, and so may be our future. May we recognize our human power, power like fire, power like earthquakes. May we clearly see the duality, how they can harm and how they can help. Nanabozho went west, and so can we. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Nanabozho, we come from you, and now may we follow in your footsteps. May we go east and south and north and west, just like you, Nanabozho. Help us learn to walk through this world in a way that each step is indeed a greeting to Mother Earth. Let us now say our closing words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we meet again. The grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind. There find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all who join in love expanding, the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings. the dance of trees who stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the song becoming one with the dance, and all mysteries can be believed. Songs of life long past that touch our own are written in the earth, ever giving. And now to maintain the harmony gives to us all lives worth living, for the oneness of everything. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined. Vast and immeasurable time and space, also overwhelmingly designed. Oh, passing years that I might know the faith that winters in the heart, to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul as a song to sing of the oneness of everything. May we learn the oneness of everything. And it is a journey. Nanabozho took it, and we can follow in his footsteps. So I invite you now to turn with me towards the east. And this happens to be east. And with your hand on your heart, let us be reminded that every day is a chance to learn, a chance to begin again. To the east, we offer our thanks. And now turn with me to the south, and with hand on heart, let us be reminded of nature's abundance and vitality, and how much there is to learn from it. To the south, we offer our thanks. And now we turn towards the north, and with hand on heart, let us be reminded of the ways of compassion, even for those who have made bad mistakes, for who has not? We give thanks to the north. And now turn with me towards the west, towards the sanctuary doors. And with hand on heart, let us be reminded about power. May we learn how to use our power creatively and not destructively. To the west, we offer our thanks. And so, folks, if you'll turn around, this is how we will learn about the oneness of everything. May we all learn. So may it be.